Hey there, guys. Welcome. I see some of you guys are already here. Hey. Let me know where you are tuning in from. Welcome to CPTV. Are you guys excited? I am excited for tonight. Got questions that have been flowing in. I got some questions already in there. What's up? What's up, Supreme Being Fitness and Wellness? You ready for this one? I see that. I've already got a question in there. Let me see if I can see that. Where's my question at in here? All right, we got some project management questions in there as well. How is everybody? Oklahoma. It's another hot one here in Ohio today. I don't know. Something about when I do these lives, it decides to be hot. Decides to be hot around here. Give people a chance to get in. I see some of you guys still logging in. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to CPTV, guys. I am excited to have you here. Welcome. Got so many questions in advance on this one. Florida, nice to see you. Spain, nice to see you. Welcome. I am excited to be here with you guys talking about all things startup, getting your businesses going, getting into that entrepreneurial journey, tying up all those loose ends that you may be having. I know that feeling of loose ends that just weighs on you, right? Let's get some of those tied up tonight. I'm excited to be with you guys. Come on in, take a look around. Welcome to CPTV. If you are new here, welcome. I am CP, Cheryl Perez, but everyone calls me CP. You are welcome to call me CP as well. If you are an avid watcher of CPTV, welcome back. This is our I think this is our fourth week of going live, or our third week of going live. We have been doing a month of live coaching sessions. My favorite thing in the world to do is to coach and work with all of you out there, train you, talk with you, listen to you, hear you, answer your questions, and just kind of work through all of those things that are happening in your entrepreneurial journeys, especially as you get started and along the way. But even if you've been kind of playing with or doing or hustling, having some side gigs, doing your side hustle, you want to take it to that next level, you're just getting your ideas down, you've been making some money, and you really want to kind of square it up. I love working with you guys in this capacity. So I am excited to be here with you guys live again. I love doing lives. I love getting that energy. So welcome, come on in. Cleveland, Ohio, it is hot today, isn't it, Shani? Shani? Yes, it's hot. I just went outside to grab my water bottle and I was like, Lord, it is hot. My day started this morning at 7:30 and it was hot then. I was like, okay, Cleveland, I see how you're doing. I see you. I'm not going to complain though, because it'll be the 90 days of darkness in a little bit and it will be cold. It'll be cold. So I'm not complaining. But I'm excited to get started with you guys today. We are talking about all things startup, specifically as it relates to what I like to call the steps, right? Those specific steps in order that I really think are critical to you getting your business set up and getting started on your entrepreneurial journey. And I have put those things kind of in that roadmap, step by step. There is a certain order that I think you should do things in when you are starting your business. And at first, when I first starting my businesses, I didn't have an order. I was just kind of all over the place. And if you've done that, you know what that experience can do and how that can make you feel. You can kind of do things out of order and then realize that you kind of messed up a little bit and you need need to go back and get things fixed. And you find that you lose money or it costs extra money to get things fixed. And then you learn from that and you're like, boy, oh boy, had I only known, I would have done this first. And so I realized, when I started my first business, if I would have only had someone that could have shown me what to do first, what to do next, what to do next, what to do after that, then it would have been so much easier for me to do this thing. And I swore through my experience that if I ever had the opportunity, if I first would make it through that whole experience, that I would come back and help others step by step go through that experience. And I made it through that very first business. I made it then through my second business. And I am well on my way in my entrepreneurial journey, being a serial entrepreneur. And my favorite piece of at this point in my entrepreneurial journey is being able to do just that for entrepreneurs, kind of take you by the hand and guide you through what those steps should be, but not just the steps themselves, but also what order you should do those in. And that's my favorite thing to teach because there is a method to the madness. And from my first business experience, I learned the steps and I decided, all right, next time I'm gonna do this in the right order. And then I made a couple more mistakes and I realized, okay, next time I'm gonna do this in the right order. And then by my third business, it was like a well-oiled machine. I was killing it. It was set up and I was able to become profitable very quickly. I hit my first six-figure mark. I tripled in size, crossed over the $500,000 mark, hit my first seven-figure business, and then got into the multiple seven figures. Then I hit 8 figures, sold that business, which was my very first time going through that experience, which in itself was like a thing. That maybe one day I'll be able to help guide entrepreneurs through that experience. And it's just been great ever since. I love starting businesses. And when people ask me, what my genius zone is, I really have to say that my genius zone is actually starting, setting up, structuring, and growing businesses. That's what I love. I'm multi-passionate. I love all kinds of different things. I like to do different things. But my real true passion is just helping people pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. I truly, truly feel that there is nothing like experiencing the freedom that comes along with being in entrepreneurship, the freedom that comes along with that lifestyle change, that decision-making freedom, that financial freedom, that generational freedom that comes along with entrepreneurship. And I truly believe that the stress that we experience when we are working for other people, and we all know what that stress is, right? I mean, let me know in the comments if you have experienced that stress. And I'm not saying that everybody is cut out for entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of people out there who don't want to be entrepreneurs. They're like, no, I'm not trying to do that. But if you are designed for it, you have that feeling. It is a constant nagging feeling. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, it always comes back, doesn't it? It always just nags at you. You will be sitting behind that desk in that cubicle or behind that computer screen or on that factory floor or whatever it is that you're doing. And you are like, there is something out there better for me. It never seems to click unless you are doing your own thing. And you may have experienced the fact that you've been doing entrepreneurship stuff since you were little. People say to me, what age were you when you started your first business? And if I had to keep it all the way real, I would tell you that the very first business I started, I was in middle school. That's how far back my entrepreneurial journey started. I bought now and laters and I used to resell them. I had a resale business. I bought now and laters and I would take them to school and I would resell them on the playground. I would buy them for 10 cents a pack and I would sell them on the playground for 25 cents a pack. And that was a pretty significant markup, I know, but it was supply and demand. I was the only one selling them. And I was right there on the playground. Everybody else was playing and I would sit on the church steps with my little bag of my now and laters and I would sell them. And I went to Catholic school, so you weren't even supposed to be eating candy. But that was my first entrepreneurial experience. I mean, it was just an idea. I was like, I can make some money. I hated asking my mom for money because we didn't have very much. So that was my first entrepreneurial thing. You know what I'm talking about as an entrepreneur too. You've been doing that all the time. You're constantly thinking of ways to monetize stuff, right? How can I make some money at this? Somebody will say something and you're like, there's got to be a way you can make some money doing that. That's the way our brains work. So I'm excited to walk you guys through these steps today. And we're going to do it a little different because normally I'll walk you through the steps and then take Q&A. But today, I think it's so significant to talk about each step and then open it up for Q&A and do some coaching in between each step, because each step is really, significant. They kind of work independently. And I want to make sure that you chime in, ask those questions as we talk about each of those steps, because you may have things going on right now in your life, in your business journey, in your mind, in your experience that are related to each of these steps. But keep in mind, when I talk about the steps, they are in order. And I know I've got questions that have already come through. I wanted to go live and kind of do a joint live here on YouTube and also on IG, but I could not figure out how to get the stand in the right place for IG. And, I love IG, I do, but y'all my peeps here on YouTube. So I was focused on that. Maybe I'll try in next week's live to do it, because we are going to do another live. And if you guys love these lives, I might go ahead and do a couple more even in July. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do some more coaching sessions because I love it. And my video editor is like, you don't have no videos that need to be edited yet. And I'm like, no, I'm loving these lives. But let me know. So I'm going to try to make sure that we can get through these steps. So let's start with these steps, right? Steps of getting started. And by the way, if you aren't already a subscriber, please subscribe. Please like this video. When it's all done, said and done, you can share it. The more that you comment, the more that you share, the more that the YouTube algorithm likes this channel and will get it out there to more people to see, and our channel can grow. I have a goal to get to 50,000 subscribers this year. I'd love to get to 100,000 subscribers because I think that, my goal is to reach as many entrepreneurs out there that experience what we all experience, just looking for somebody to support them and walk them through what it feels like when you need that support to help you figure out how to get all this stuff done, right? So make sure that you share. So let's talk about step number one. Step number one. Hey, everybody. Let me say hi. We've got Desiree in. We've got Robert in. We've got LaShonda in. What's up, everybody? I think I've already said hi to Supreme Being Fitness and Wellness. And I've also got, I'm going to say your name because you're from Florida. So I'm going to say it. Ibunolua. Did I say it right? Ibunolua. That's a beautiful name. Where are you from? Tell me where you're from, which country you're from. Because I lived overseas. I feel like you're from an African country. And I lived in Africa for a couple of years. I don't know if you already knew that. Tell me if you already knew that. I lived in Africa for a couple of years. I have been to 17 African countries. I was based in one specific one, and lived and visited and worked in 17 other countries. So Legina, you're here as well. Oh yeah, I said it perfect. Awesome. Which country are you from? Let me know. That's exciting. Nigeria. Yes. Toronto, relaxing vibes. Nigeria. So I bet you make the best fufu. Fufu? Thinking. Is fufu Nigerian? Yes. So I did. I loved. I have not visited Nigeria though. It is on my list. I have been to Ghana in West Africa. I was based in Nairobi. I was based in East Africa, but I visited so many different countries and actually worked there in my very first business. But I didn't really treat it like a business. That's the one I talk about when I say I didn't really treat it like a business. I was more of an expat. Yes. Fufu is one of my favorites, and light stew, one of my favorites. Love it. So let's talk about these steps. All right. So step number one in starting your business. And I don't know how many of you guys are in this step right now. So let me know. And it's a big one, y'all. It is getting, jollof rice. Y'all gonna get mad. It's dinner time. You're gonna make me hungry. Desiree, you're gonna make me hungry. But it is getting your mind right. I know you guys know how important mindset is when you are embarking upon your entrepreneurial journey. Your mind will control everything surrounding your experience, your achievements, and everything that you are able to do when it comes to this entrepreneurial journey. And that mindset piece, I think, is the one that held me back from really moving forward and being an entrepreneur earlier than I actually did become a full-fledged entrepreneur. And a lot of you may have experienced that as well out here, because I feel like had I really come to grips with the fact that entrepreneurship was my destiny earlier, I would have done it earlier. And a lot of times people ask me, do I have any regrets when it comes to, having my own business? And I would probably say my biggest regret is that I didn't do it years earlier, like really do it. It was more of a side hustle for me for years. I just wasn't all in. And I think that a big piece of that wasn't all in was mindset. It was my mindset. It was not really recognizing what entrepreneurship really meant. Like I said, my very first business, I did not treat it as a business. I felt like I was more of an independent contractor, and I was doing stuff kind of as, an independent contractor, freelancer, consultant. And I wasn't treating it like a business at all. I was still in that employee mindset. And I was in that mind frame that I was still working for somebody else. So that meant I still gave them control. I did not market myself appropriately. I did not hold myself accountable appropriately. I did not believe in myself appropriately. So I lacked the confidence that I needed as an entrepreneur. I lacked the time management skills that I needed as an entrepreneur. I lacked the clarity that I needed as an entrepreneur. And I also lacked getting the understanding and the support that I needed from my family as an entrepreneur. Those were critical mindset shifts that I had not made because I hadn't come to grips with the fact that I was an entrepreneur and that I was supposed to be an entrepreneur. And I have to say that for me, I realized that it had a lot to do with the fact that I'm an African-American woman and how I grew up. I'm a Black woman. So there were no entrepreneurs in my family. I didn't have aunties or uncles, my mom, my dad, they all worked for other people for 30 some, 40 some years, retired from them. They were like going for these pensions. I grew up in a small town outside of Cleveland. It was a very poor town. I grew up in the hood in the 90s. So crack was like rampant. It was crazy. And my parents just told me, you just do what we didn't do. Go to college. We didn't do that. So that's like that next level. No one ever said, go out there and start to build generational wealth for our family. No one ever said that. It was almost like, don't even think about starting your own business. That's not even possible. Even though when I think back now, stories that I would hear about my grandfather and my uncle being runners with number runners, and, having these jobs where like, even my auntie at one point, I remember she worked in the cafeteria at one of our high schools, but on the side, she sold dinners. She was an amazing cook. And she would sell dinners like at like local offices, and she would like make dinners because we would help her pack them up and like wrap rubber bands around. She would like fry fish. She would sell fish dinners. She was an entrepreneur. She was, but she wasn't because she didn't identify as such, and she didn't teach us that. And my mom and them didn't identify as that. So my brain didn't even wrap itself around that. And my mindset did not get to that point until years after it should have. Had I started my businesses that much earlier, my older children would have received the benefits of it that much earlier. And so that's a big regret. So mindset is so critical and important. This is where your time management comes in, your ability to prioritize your business, even if you are still working for someone else, the ability to sacrifice financially right now. Right? Sacrifice financially right now. The reason why you're still working for someone else is because you want to build up your money so that you can feel comfortable moving into that space where your business is able to financially support you. But are you making the necessary sacrifices right now in order to ensure that you can get to that point? Have you set a goal? Have you set a deadline? Have you picked a quit date? All of those things are really, truly important around getting that mindset and that clarity of when you are going to do this thing. Have you truly made the decision that you are going to be your own boss? And have you prepared yourself for what that's going to look like? because it's going to be very different. Have you made the plans? Have you begun to strategize for that day when it's going to come? And have you made those decisions? And in this mindset piece, not only have you decided to truly be an entrepreneur, but have you gained the understanding and have you begun to sell your family on it? And the reason why I say this is because, you know, guys, my experience during that time, I think I've mentioned this, and if you are a CP insider, which means you've joined my email list, you get my weekly emails or my newsletter, then you have heard my story about the fact that I went through a divorce. I was married before. And a big part of my divorce was because I did not do that step. I did not do a good job at communicating and gaining the understanding of my family surrounding my dreams to be an entrepreneur. I didn't choose the right person to support that. And I didn't. I wasn't in that mindset space. You know where I'm talking about? So that's a big piece of that as well. I didn't prepare my children, you know, sufficiently. I did not prepare my ex-husband sufficiently. Not that I believe had I prepared him, he would have still been a good fit, y'all. I'm gonna keep it 100% real with you because he just wasn't good for me, period. But I mean, looking back, hindsight is 2020. I could have done a better job. I could have done a better job. But also really getting that clarity around what my business vision was, what my idea was going to be, what my business model, what was the ideal business model that was going to fit the lifestyle that I wanted? Was it going to help me accomplish the dream? You know, all of those things around my vision, my mission, my clarity around those businesses, and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't do a good job at really doing that in the very beginning. This is that step. All right, this is that step. So I want to open up the floor because when you're in this mindset space, you are dealing with things like self-doubt, fear, stress, going back and forth, right? Like, you know, like just kind of no real true drive of just saying, this is it, I'm doing it. You've got to go for it. You don't necessarily believe and have confidence in your ability to really get it done. You don't also have the ability to kind of block out the noise all the time. And you don't always have enough clarity and the time management skills and the prioritization skills. You know, you haven't really perfected those yet. And for my second business that I started after I lost the first one in the divorce, the second business, I was like, no. This will be 100%. I will be 100% sure that this is going to be what I'm going to do when I move forward. And I had a complete mental space that I was clear moving forward. Okay. And that is a big piece. I was able to communicate very clearly and very effectively exactly what my business was going to be, what I was going to sell, what my product was going to look like. And that's a big piece of that mindset. So I've gotten a few questions already, and I want you guys to put your questions in for me as well. But I've gotten a few questions around mindset, and specifically, you know, around, I think, more time management and overcoming kind of that imposter syndrome piece that I really want to address and answer for folks. So one of them is, this is from Tamia. I'm not sure if you're here tonight, Tamia, but I want to make sure that I talk about this because it's a very good question. So Tamia basically says, CP, I still work a full-time job. And in parentheses, she put more than a full-time job. I work more than a full-time job, and I have been pushing and selling a little bit of my dream on the side. I have a very difficult time balancing my full-time job and my passion, which is my business, as well as my family, my friends, et cetera, et cetera. What is your biggest recommendation around being able to get to a point where I can get rid of my full-time job, and in parentheses, she put, which I hate to the utmost, and move forward with my passion so that I can pursue my dreams and accomplish my goals? Okay. And that's a big one. How many of you guys feel that same way? She's struggling with trying to figure out how to do that. And that's a big one. So to me, I would definitely say, one of the biggest things is time management is not something that you are going to trip upon, and it's not going to just fall from the sky. You have to 100% create the habits and be strategic in what you are going to do. So there are 3 things that I always tell people that you have to do in order to be a better manager of your time. And you are going to first have to come to grips with the fact that if you are going to continue to work your full-time job or more than full-time, let's say you're doing 40, 45, or 50 hours a week at your full-time job, and you really do want to pursue your business, you have to agree to set specific amounts of time every single week where you are going to work on your business come hell or high water. So now you are going to be working way more than full-time. So number 1, if you are working more than full-time for someone else, whether you're getting paid overtime or not, first things first, if you are serious about pursuing your business, you need to cut back those overtime hours, that excessive hours, to what the minimum expectation in your current position is. So if you are full-time and they are expecting you to work 40 hours, do not work overtime. Do not work extra for someone else. You can't. 40 is 40 and that's it. That's it. Because you really do need to be able to work hours on your business. So now you've got 40 in your full-time job and you're going to have to say, I need to give myself 20 in my business, no matter what. So now you're working 60 legit hours. It is what it is. It is what it is, right? But you have to commit to that. Now, I know that is very, very difficult if you have children and friends and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm gonna work my way backwards from the groups of people, the roles that you play in your life that you will have to sacrifice in this initial stage of managing your time while you're balancing your full-time hustle and your part-time hustle, which is your dream, all your roles. So you are going to have to sacrifice. This is where that mindset piece comes in, and getting a grip around that sacrifice. You are not going to be able to kick it with your friends as much as you used to. They do not become a part of your regular weekly activities. That's over. You might be able to say once a month, I'm going to have some girl time, or once a month, I'm going to kick it with my friends. And maybe that's a breakfast or a coffee or a brunch. Maybe that is a lunchtime meeting, but that's not necessarily, every Saturday night, because if you're not at your full-time gig, Saturdays might be that day where you say, I'm going to work a full 10 hours on my business. That's where you're squeezing in 10 hours of that 20 hours that you're committing to do on your business, in your business, whatever it is. So that role of friendship, you're going to have to sacrifice. It is what it is. That's some tough CP love there, but it is what it is. That role that you're playing as the, you're running errands for everybody else, or you are continually saying yes to everything that does not serve you. That word, yes, no. You have to begin to say no to things that are pulling you away from accomplishing that dream. There are specific things that you have to say yes to. You have to say yes to your children. You have to say yes to your full-time job, and you have to say yes to your business. You have to say yes to your family. Everything else, you got to learn how to say no to. That is a very difficult thing to adopt, but that's a piece of that mindset and that sacrifice. And that's where I'm saying you have to begin to communicate so that you can gain that understanding. I'm not saying you got to be mean about it. I am saying, though, that you have to begin to tell people, look, I have this dream of entrepreneurship. I have this dream of starting this business. And I have this deadline that 12 months from now, I'm going to be quitting my job. So I've only got 12 months to get it all the way together so that I can do that. So I need you to bear with me. I need you to understand that our weekly drinks are going to drop down to once a month, or once a quarter, once every 3 months, until I need you to give me the next 12 months. If they can't deal with that, then they are not intended to be a part of that next level of your journey. I had friends when I started my first business that are no longer my friends. I had friends that were my best friends at that time that did not understand that journey, and they are no longer my friends. It just is what it is. They were not meant to be a part of this journey that I'm on right now. They just weren't. And that is a big piece of that mindset. So that is a big piece of recommendation for you. Now, another thing is figure out ways where you can block your schedule. CP's 3 P's of time management success. There's 3 P's. You have to plan, you have to prioritize, and you have to actually produce. And I go over all of this. There's several videos already in CPTV that I talk about the CP's 3Ps, and I dive deep into productivity. There's actually an entire playlist on time management. And I'm going to try to pull that up. I don't have someone from Team CP with me. I didn't do a good job at booking them this week, y'all. I didn't do a good job at making them come in because it's hot outside. And I was like, no, it's okay. We'll be fine. I didn't do a good job, but that's okay, y'all, because I'm gonna work this out. I'm gonna pull up these links for you guys as we continue to talk, and I'm gonna get them in here. But those are true. The CP's 3Ps of time management success is what I'm saying you've got to do. You have to plan. Big piece of planning is really being calendar driven. Your calendar dictates what you should do. You have to plan out every minute of every day that you have. So if you know that you get up at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, you may have to get up an extra 2 hours early and plan to go to bed an extra 2 hours later to give yourself some extra hours in the day. And from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, you have a block of time. Put in your calendar what you are doing knowing those 2 hours. And then you get your shower, and then you go to work. And then at this time at work, you're going to maximize that time. And then when you come home, you maximize that time. You also need to do things in blocks of time. I'm a big proponent of blocking your time. Some of you guys have seen the video on CPTV where I talk about my biggest hack for mompreneurs, and it actually can count for dadpreneurs too, or for anybody who's responsible for cooking for your children. I cook for the entire week on Sundays. So I have a 4-hour block of time every Sunday where I cook for the entire week. So I don't have to come home and cook every single day. I am not grappling with that. And I learned that from a long time ago when my business was my side hustle. I didn't have time to cook every day because when I got home from my full-time job, I had to work on my business 2 to 3 hours every single evening. I didn't have time to come home and take an hour out to cook and fix meals and fix plates. And because I'm traditional, I fix plates, I cook. So Sundays, I cooked for the whole week. That was my block of time. So some of those little tweaks that you can make that can free up some of those additional hours. So planning out your schedule, prioritizing what needs to be done in those blocks of time, sticking to it. And then when you've got those blocks of times in those scheduling times, doing it, being productive during those times, eliminating your distractions. There's lots of tips and tools in there. And then I also have some of you guys who are in the Startup Academy already, you may or may not have automatically used this. Oh, awesome. I do have someone from Team CP. Thank you, Rico. He's not even here, but he's watching. So yes, please, can you add the time management playlist link in there for everyone? All those videos are in there. And if you are in the Startup Academy, the time management boot camp goes in detail and in depth. It's a 5-day boot camp, and it goes into detail every single day, walks you through all the specifics of that time management piece. So make sure that you check that out as well. But that's a big piece around that time management. So that's a big piece around that, getting your mind right, guys. And I know it's hard, and getting your mind right is a constant thing when you are, getting your business going and you're starting your business. But I want to talk about step 2 now, because this is a big one that comes up for folks too. And if you've still got questions, around step 1, mindset, spirit, all of those things, different tactics and tools that I use, please, stress levels, all that stuff, let me know. I'll keep talking about it. But I want to get into step 2 now because it's important. And step 2 is researching, deciding, and planning out the business. So you've got this idea, right? Now it is time for you to research your market, your customer, and then putting together a basic business plan. A basic one, and really kind of a growth strategy. I think there is a very big difference between a real intense, crazy business plan. So if someone out there has already told you that you got to put together, that kind of crazy, detailed 50,000 page business plan, I'm going to call BS on that. Nobody as a startup entrepreneur has time for that. If you are looking for a large business loan, then yes, that will eventually come for you and you will need to do all of that. But that's not a startup endeavor. right? If you are just starting your business, that's not a startup endeavor. You do, however, need to begin to write down and document, getting all the stuff out of your head and documenting and laying it out in an organized fashion so that you have a game plan to follow. So it's more of a growth plan than it is a business plan. So I like to call it a growth plan strategy. What do you need to do step by step in order to get it done in the next 12 months? So at different stages in your business, you are going to need to do different things. You're going to have different goals and objectives in order to get to the next level. And I like to do the growth plan strategy in 12-month increments, 12 to 18-month increments, because every 12 months, you're going to have different growth plans, right? Different things you need to tweak and change in order to get to that next level. So in your first 12 months, that growth plan, those objectives and those goals are going to include things like set up my basic business infrastructure, right? Set up my basic business infrastructure. And that will include things like getting my business registered with my state, getting my EIN number, setting up my business bank account.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry. Siri's talking to me. She's like, sorry. Setting up my business bank account, setting up my financials, choosing my business brand, setting up my website. So those are some of the basic things that you're going to want to get in place as a part of that growth strategy, right? Putting together my ICA description. So that's where you're going to get into this research, decide, and plan phase. So what are you researching? You are researching your concept, your idea. What are some of the ideas that are going on in your head? What do you think you want to do? And what are some of the reasons why you want to do that? And you want to write down all the different ideas that you have, right? First way to start. And I believe that there is a true intersection of ideas because sometimes people get stuck. Let me know in the comments if you are at that point, if you are still in the idea phase, because if you're not, I won't spend a whole lot of time on that. Let me know if you're still in the idea phase. But you want to make sure you're researching the ideas in the market. If there's competitors out there, you want to have competitors. That's a big deal. A lot of folks out there think they don't want to see any competitors. They want to pick something where there's no competitors. That's the opposite of what you want to do. If there's no competitors, don't pursue that idea. I'm telling you the truth. Don't pursue the idea because it doesn't mean that somebody else hasn't thought of it. It just means that it probably won't work. Somebody don't want to buy it. You won't make any money off of it. So research your competitors, figure out what their pricing looks like, what their packages are, what they're selling, what they're not selling, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their marketing looks like. Do a lot of research on that because there's no reason for you to reinvent the wheel. But you do want to play off of their weaknesses. You want to fill in the gaps. Right? You want to figure out how you can fill in those gaps. So that's why you're researching your competitors, strengths, weaknesses of your competitors, right? And then you want to figure out what opportunities exist out there. That's where the gaps are. And then what threats are there? What is happening out in the marketplace or in the environment that might threaten this idea, right? Right now, if you have an idea that you want to build a business specifically as it relates to something that might have been a good fit during COVID. A lot of people reached out to me and they had all of these great business ideas that were directly related to the pandemic. A lot of people. There's a threat right now for them. And that threat is the pandemic isn't as significant. And that might be arguable for some of you, but the reality is it's winding down in most places, right? So if you built a business specifically around something with this pandemic being at the height of the pandemic, then the threat in the market is that the pandemic is winding down. So there's going to be less of a need for that. So if you built a business and you did not capitalize off of that quick time frame, that 2-year time frame, you've lost your opportunity. So that's what you're researching, the strengths and the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threat. That's called a SWOT analysis of your competitors. And then you also want to research who is the audience that you want to target. Who's going to be the best audience for you to target? Who's your ideal customer? And that will help you narrow down which product and service you want to start with. And I want to caution you because so many of you have a million ideas and you want to do them all right now, don't you? Every single idea. And you want to chase shiny balls. Shiny balls, it's what's creating this confusion in your mind because everything seems like a good idea. The very nature of who you are as an entrepreneur is that you are creative. That is who we are. We are creative. And all the ideas is what is creating this stress. You want to do this, you want to do that. You have this idea, you have that idea, you want to do this. I get it. It's okay to have an idea bank. Put them in the bank. Put them in the bank. But you've got to start with something first. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. Nothing is saying that you cannot still pursue those other things that are in the bank. You can still pursue the other things that are in the bank. Trust me. But your research will tell you what's the best idea to start with, because you can only start with one product or one service at a time. Maximize your sales, maximize your profitability, maximize your messaging, maximize your marketing, maximize the money that you're bringing in with that one thing before you move on to the next. Because with that one thing, you've got to do all the rest of the steps that I'm going to talk to you about. Every single time you introduce a new product or a new service into your business model, you've got to do all the rest of the steps for. And if you're trying to do all of them at one time, you got to do all the rest of the steps for them. And now you're opening every new product or service is like you're starting a brand new business. New marketing, new branding, new everything. Think about that. So if you want to start 5 businesses at the same time, you are never going to get one started well enough that you'll be able to quit that job. So that's what step 2 is. Plan out the business that you want to see and make sure the business ties in with your lifestyle goals too. That's a huge one. You know, I had a coaching student. This is a story I'll share with you. I had a coaching student who came to me and her ultimate goal was to potentially start a spa, you know, for girls, for young girls to be able to go in and have spa experiences, spa-like experience, like a luxury spa for little girls, which was a brilliant idea. And as we started talking, you know, a little bit, my goal was to help her, you know, kind of square down this idea and begin to build this business, the foundation of this business. And we were working one-on-one. And as we were working through this idea and we were going through step 2, when she joined my program, she was in step 2. And I said, all right, so tell me a little bit about where you see yourself in the future. And she was like, I said, what do you want your lifestyle to be? And she said, well, I want to travel. I want to be able to work from anywhere in the world. I want to be able to enjoy my life. My husband is close to retirement. And when he's ready to retire in 10 years, I want to be able to go when he goes. I don't want to be stuck in one place. That lifestyle goal did not match with what her ultimate business vision was, did it? Because if she wants a spa for little girls to go to, that is a brick and mortar place. And that means that she's got to be there. She's going to be managing that brick and mortar location. She may eventually be able to add locations, but when you've got a brick and mortar type of location, you are going to be in one place more often than not, which means you can't just get up and go. Your husband retires in 10 years, he can get up and go, but you can't just get up and go. So your business and your lifestyle goals are not one and the same. And when your business doesn't help you get to that lifestyle goal, you lose the drive, the ambition, you lose the initiative, you lose the stay with it that you need in order to get through the good, the bad, the ugly that comes from being an entrepreneur, because the business isn't helping you get to that ultimate end lifestyle goal. So your lifestyle goal and the business have to go together. So we switched up her idea. She was still able to provide spa-like experiences for little girls, but we were able to switch it up where she switched to an online e-commerce based store where she could create party packages and party planning for little girls' parties where people could go on. And if they wanted to create like spa parties for little girls, for sets of 10, 15, 20 girls, they could go online, they could order, and she would ship all the supplies with the instructional sheets and the videos, and the girls and moms could give their little girls luxury spa-like experiences, but it was completely e-commerce, which meant it was mobile for her to be able to get up and go. So she was still able to accomplish the same goal, but it was going to help her meet that lifestyle goal. It was a complete online business at that point. You see what I'm saying? That's where I'm going with that. So that's that research, decide, and plan it out phase. All right. So I'm looking at questions relationship to that step. And I wanted to see if I've got any. And if you guys have any, Okay, so I'm looking. Let's see. So true. I wish I would have been told that as well versus go to college. Yes, you feel me in that mindset. Ronald, okay, yes, I'm almost to that. In step 3, we're going to get to that question as well. Stuck in the idea phase. All right, you're still working through your ideas. I feel you. So there is a video that I have on how to figure out your business idea. And I believe there's a worksheet. It will combine for you your passions, what your skills, your passions, and it will help you narrow down that. I don't know if Rico is still in there for me, but I'm gonna put that link in there for you so that you can get to that one. And it is, I want to say, the best business ideas. If he's still in there, I will have him get that for you. But I did a whole video on it, and it comes with a worksheet. It comes with a worksheet. Let me see. I know I can find it. Don't worry. I can find it. I can find it for you. But while we're talking about that, anybody, I'm going to look at these questions as well, but because it is how to figure out your business idea. And I have got a complete formula for it. It helps me every single time because I am like you. I am very multi-passionate. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur as well. And it can make you feel very, very overwhelmed. A business idea. Yes. Clarify your business idea. Here it is. Here it is. I got it. I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys. So if you're in this space, it's going to be very, very helpful for you. And this is the business idea one for you. I could do this. I can multitask, y'all. There you go. All right. Let me see what other questions we've got on this one. Yep. All right, good. All right, so let me take a look over here and see which ones I got in advance. We got potential clients. We got marketing questions, lots of marketing questions, and we're going to get to that one shortly. Financial structures. All right, and systems. All right, so let's talk about step number 3. All right, step number 3 is the setting up of your infrastructure. And I do a lot of videos on this one. This seems to be a huge pain point for all of you. So I know we're going to spend some time here. I've already seen some questions in here about the infrastructure. The setting up your infrastructure, once you've gotten your mind right, you figure out exactly what you want to do, you've gotten all the ideas, you know who your customer is. Now it's time for you to get the infrastructure set up. And your infrastructure starts with choosing your business name. You got to pick a good name, y'all. And the name is really important. There's lots of different steps on the name, right? On lots of different steps on choosing your business name. And you don't just want to pick a name before you double check. So I do a whole video on choosing your business name, and a lot of people don't realize the steps in choosing your name. You don't just want to pick it and make sure it's available in your state. You also want to make sure that the business name that you choose is also available in the domain.com and also on all of the social media profiles. So in namecheck.com is where I go to double check and make sure that it's available everywhere. You do not want to pick a name that isn't available everywhere. It has to be available in your state and also on the .com domain and all of the social handles. You want all of them. Do not accept a name. Do not choose a name that is not available everywhere. So I always tell everyone, come up with a name and get at least a list of 10, your top 10 names, and check them all. Check them all, check them all, check them all. All right. Once you get through checking them all, you will end up with one that's available everywhere. Book it. Book that name. Book the domain. Book it on all the social handles. Go out and set them all up and then register it with your state. Right. So register with your state. That's the order. Check the name first. Don't register it with your state and then go check the name, because ultimately the decision for checking your name is a long-term one. And I've gotten so many questions from you and other people that say, I registered my name and then I went out to look and the .com isn't available, or the .org isn't available, or somebody else already got the Facebook, or, because what you're going to ultimately be doing is when your business blows up, you're going to be sending traffic to someone else. You're going to be marketing your business for someone else, and you don't want to do that. All right. So the name, check first, book it, and then do your LLC registration. Now, I know last week we did a very intense conversation around getting your business address and all that kind of stuff together as well. So really, when you're registering, you got to make sure you've got your addresses together. And now your email, you don't have to have together before you register, but your address, you do have to have together before you register, because once you register and you get your tax ID and you set up your business bank account, which is all a part of this infrastructure, you need to have an address to put on all of those things. So you're picking your name, you're making sure it's available everywhere. Now you're choosing your address, right? And we talked last week about what type of address that should be. Remember? And hopefully if you guys were there, you know what I'm talking about. So if you've got that question in the chat, if I'm seeing that in the chat, I'm gonna let some of you guys know if you got it. Stuck on choosing the right virtual address and email package. So you somebody in here, tell Lisa what type of address she should be getting. What type of address should she be getting? Tell her. Right? She should be getting the virtual office, not the virtual address. Right? We talked about that in depth. Listen, make sure it is a detailed video from last week. So make sure you check that out as to why. And I'm just telling you the answer. I'm giving you like a little spoiler alert right now. It is your virtual address. So get your name, make sure it's available everywhere, finalize that. All right. Then I want you to get your address, reserve it, because once you have that virtual office, not the virtual address, the virtual office, you're going to end up with that mailing address. You want to put that on all of your registration documents. Yes, Desiree, that's right. Virtual office. Put that on all of your registration documents. You're going to register with your state. Now, if you are in the Startup Academy membership, the video walking you through how to fill out your articles of organization are in there. It's detailed walkthrough. So make sure you check that out. A lot of people ask me, do I need to pay for a service in order to register with my state? It's really up to you whether or not you want to do it yourself. Can you do it yourself? Yes. Yes, you can. And it won't cost you anything to do it yourself. Now, when I say anything, I don't mean the fact that it's going to be free. It's not going to be free, because you're still going to have to pay your state registration fees. If they do it online, if you have to mail it in, if you want to do a rush, all of that stuff is there. But if you pay a service, they're also going to charge you to do the paperwork. I would encourage everyone, before you decide on who to go with regards to registering your business for you or you doing it yourself, just take a look around. Okay, take a look around. Oh, Lisa, I know what you mean. You see, you kind of move it backwards. We talked about that in the beginning, right? These are the steps in order. And I've done that too. It is stressful. You think instantly, oh my God, and you skip a step and then you realize, holy crap, it's a learning lesson. But yes, this is really, step 3 in the 6 steps is to register. But go out to your state website and you can Google your state website. Now, be careful when you Google, because there will be lots of ads that come up and there'll be lots of services that will trick you. Your Secretary of State in your state. So put Secretary State of Ohio, Secretary State of Oklahoma, Secretary State of Florida, and their website will say, .gov. Okay, it should say .gov, .gov. That is it. they will give you tons of resources and information on exactly what you need to do, what forms you need. Read it, do a little bit of digging to determine if you truly feel that you cannot do it yourself. Most of them are online applications and they are pretty simple. Articles of organization are not, they're not rocket science. They are not rocket science. You're in essence, if you choose to do an LLC, which most people are, they're not rocket science. You're simply doing articles of organization. They are going to ask you for a registered agent. We talked yesterday about registered agents. And I've also done a really detailed live. So on the channel, if you want to go back in and look at the lives, I did a detailed video about what a registered agent is. But in essence, just to recap, it's just someone that you choose who you want to have as your forward-facing contact for your business, and someone that you want listed on your business to receive mail on your behalf, important documents, if you ever get served with paperwork or if someone is looking you up and wants to send it to you. So you can choose whomever you want to. Mine happens to be my attorney, but my very first registered agent in my very first business was my sister. I trusted her. I knew that she was, you know, that she wasn't going to tell nobody my business. She was my best friend anyway. She knew that I was, you know, taking care of my business. She knew I was starting my business. She had a different address. She had a office address. And I was like, sis, can I use you as my registered agent? She was like, yes. And then once I found an attorney, you know, I went into the state of Ohio registered registration system, and I changed my registered agent, and there was a fee. I think at the time in the state of Ohio, it might've been like $45. And I changed my registered agent to my attorney, and that's who it's been every single time. And then whenever my attorney leaves and goes to a different law firm, she automatically changes it for me. But my sister was my first registered agent, because she had like her own office, and I knew it wasn't going to be her home address, and it was okay for me. So that just gives you an example. I've never been my own registered agent. I've never used my own home address, and all the reasons why are in last week's video, and it is also in the registered agent long-standing video that we've talked about, okay, in the past. So setting up your business infrastructure is so important in there. So registering it, getting your EIN, you can totally do that on your own. IRS.gov is where you need to go. Don't Google it, because there's lots of companies that'll tell you they'll do it for you. They'll charge you. You do not need to have anybody do it. It is instantaneous. But you can't do that until you get your number back, those articles of organization back from your state. They're going to give you your number, and you need that number in order to get the EIN. Okay. Once you get your employer EIN, then you take that document along with the articles of organization and your business address, right? Your virtual office, and you go to the bank and you open up your business bank account. Infrastructure set. You got your domain, right? iPage.com. You guys have seen that. Love it. I just did a video at Update 2022 on how to get them. You get unlimited emails. Talked about that. You got your domain, you got your social handles, you've registered, you got your EIN, you got your business bank account, business infrastructure set up. One last step, business infrastructure set up. Get QuickBooks online as quickly as possible. It's cheap. I think it's like 12 bucks a month or something. Get it, hook it up to your business bank account. It's very simple. I know some of you guys have requested that in before. Oh, you're in Ohio too, Lisa? Yes. Some of you guys have requested that before, and I really think I should do kind of a walkthrough. So maybe that will be a live. I do it in the Startup Academy membership, in my online membership. I do a detailed walkthrough with how to connect your QuickBooks online to your business bank account. If you're in the SUA, check that out. It's in module 3, which is step 3. Check out, you know, in that section on how to link it up. But it's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. Hook it up, and it will begin to pull in all of your financial information. All right, it will begin to pull it in, and that is the first step. That's setting up your business infrastructure. All right, that's step 3. Let me take a look. You guys have questions about that? I think I answered them all as we were talking about it. We talked about the virtual address and email. Questions about the emails? I got my emails through GoDaddy. I know I have a couple videos on emails. Yes, Ronald. Yep, we talked about that, Ronald. I just did an update on iPage. You got all your emails through GoDaddy. I'm not sure if you can transfer the domain over and still get the emails. I believe you can. Ronald, I think you can transfer the emails over from GoDaddy. I believe you can import your transfer to iPage. And I believe once you do and you get the web hosting, you can still set up the unlimited emails. I believe you can. So you might want to, you'd have to check that with iPage. If you go to iPage and you look into their help, transferring domains, it should tell you what you can do. But I believe you can. Hey, V, how are you? And then the questions that I get, what amount of profit? What about S Corps? When should you do an S Corp? That falls into this. To transfer your business into an S Corp, there is a certain time to do that. I have done that before. And I have a business that's an S Corp. An S Corp is really just a specific category for tax purposes with the IRS. So you can register your business as an LLC. And then after you reach a certain profit margin, you can transition it to an S Corp. There's different tax advantages to doing it that way. The reason why you would do that is because when you are an S Corp, you are required to begin paying yourself as a W-2 employee. And you are required to give yourself a salary. Okay, you're required. I have a video on CPTV that is talking about LLC, how to register your business. It's in the startup playlist. And I do an interview with my attorney, with my accountant and an attorney. It's not my attorney, but an attorney. And they talk about that. My accountant and the attorney talks about the S Corp transition. That video is golden in there. But yes, the S Corp, you really don't need to transition that until you're at a point where you have enough money where you are paying yourself a regular salary as a W-2 employee. And I didn't do that transition until I was at a point where I was well over six figures. I was at a point where I was paying myself around $50,000 a year as a W-2 employee. So when you get to a point where your business is generating enough profit where your salary can be even like $30,000, when you know you have enough money to pay yourself a consistent salary of 30 grand every 2 weeks, that's when you're ready to transition to an S Corp. And you're not really transitioning. You're still an LLC. You're just filling out for tax purposes an S Corp status with the IRS. So that's what that is. Okay. Let's see. Other questions I got. And that was a question from Gigi, if you're here. I don't know if you're here today. Gigi, if you're here. I knew this was going to be a longer one, guys. I'm trying to rush, but I don't want to leave anything out. Business bank account, I answered that one. Lawyer, do you need to get a lawyer? So Alexis, this is a good question. I need to get with a lawyer to get the agreements in place and done right. And what about insurance? So yes, that would be here. I would definitely say once you register your business as an LLC, you still do need an operating agreement. I would definitely recommend that. If you are in the Startup Academy, you guys already know, if you're in the Startup Academy, make sure you check it out. In the Startup Academy, you automatically receive a template operating agreement that you can use, a basic template that was made for you by my attorney. So that's in there. But if you are not in the Startup Academy, I would definitely recommend that you create an operating agreement, even if you are a single member LLC. It is really important that you talk about what happens with your business if something happens to you. It is for protection purposes. And some of your states may require that you submit those articles, an operating agreement, when you submit your articles, when you register your articles. Not all states require it, but some do. So I totally do recommend articles of organization when you set up your business, 100%. And then insurance. Yes. Business insurance, there's different insurances for different types of businesses. It just depends upon what type of business that you are. Like if you are an insurance agency, you're going to want errors and omissions insurance. If you, like, for instance, I've got business insurance because I have an office, and it also provides protection from liability and insurance if something happens to my office equipment. If you even have an at-home office and you've got computers and equipment, I would definitely suggest a business insurance policy for you to look into. Hartford is my business policy. They've got great policies. They insure most industries. Your rates are going to be dependent upon your industry. If you're in a higher risk industry, then you're going to pay more for insurance. But it just depends upon your industry, what type of business you're starting. And that is something that you will discover and uncover in step 2, which is your research phase. I didn't spend a whole lot of time in there, but research will also help you uncover what your costs are going to be. You should be able to walk away from research with an idea of how much this business is going to cost you so that you can make a good decision as well. So get an idea of what stuff's going to cost, what your insurance is going to be. Do all of that in step 2 before you register, before you make a decision. Do all of that. All right? Do all of it. That's going to help you because insurance is definitely recommended. You want to protect this investment. All right. You want to protect this investment for sure. Let's see. Let's see if I got another one. That's another one, LLC S Corp. I answered that one. Do I have any other ones? Awesome. Hey, Simon. As per your professional advice, I've already identified my virtual office and I've acquired an additional Unitel voice. Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you. You are the best of the best too. You're the best of the best too. All right. So let's talk about step 4. And step 4 is critical, guys. You know me, I'm always talking about the processes. You cannot move on to marketing, which a lot of you guys have questions about marketing, which is step 5. Until you do step 4. Step 4, I want you to do just no questions asked. I need you to document your basic processes, your basic business processes. Those are the step-by-step things that you are going to do in your business in order to bring money in. So how are you going to charge people? What is that process going to look like? All right. Money in. What is your money in process going to look like? Are you going to invoice people? What is that going to look like if you say yes? Are you going to accept credit cards? What is that going to look like if you say yes? I'm not going to even say, because there is nothing worse than someone saying, oh yeah, I got a business and then I'm trying to out there selling people, but you have no idea how to collect your money. Oh, well, how do I pay you? Cash at me. No. That is a big part of the reason why Cash App and Venmo, they all changed their rules and now they're 1099ing people. If you do more than $600, y'all heard about that? Now they are 1099ing. So you're not getting away with it. That's not tax-free money anymore. You need to have a specific step-by-step process documented on how you are going to get your money. People want to purchase from frictionless sales processes. That includes how you're going to get your money. If you're going to invoice them, if you're going to accept credit cards, what is that going to look like? How does someone who's interested in purchasing from you, how are they going to get from point A to point B? Please figure that out before you start selling stuff. That's why step 4 is step 4. Before you start marketing and going out there and trying to get customers in, figure out how you're going to charge them. That is professionalism. That's how you grow a business. Otherwise, you just playing. You are just playing. Stop. Figure out your money in process. That is very important. I have an entire video playlist on processes. All right. Also, figure out your basic sales process. What are the steps? Step by step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, PayPal. PayPal is also on there. Yes, Kendra, absolutely. If you accept PayPal, if that's going to be the way, what is that process going to look like? Because it requires research, right, Kendra? You need to know. You need to know if PayPal is going to charge you a fee, how much that fee is going to be. If you want to use PayPal over Stripe, or if you want to use Stripe over PayPal, what does that look like? Does PayPal require you to invoice it? Will you get the PayPal checkout button? What does that look like? You have to spell it out so that you are not blindsided by what that's going to look like. You got to know. Absolutely. Also, your sales process. What's the step-by-step from point A to point B to point C to point D? What does it take from somebody to come into your sales process to get all the way to being a customer? Map that out step by step by step by step. Okay, step by step. And then also your service processes. What does it look like when someone becomes your customer? How do you onboard them? Your customer journey, your customer experience is critical. How do you onboard them? How do you get them into receiving that product or service, receiving what you have promised them? There is nothing worse than a horrible onboarding experience. That is the quickest way to have someone cancel or ask for a refund. That's the quickest way to undo all of that work. It's easier to keep a customer than it is to get a new one. Would you agree? So map out all of those processes. And actually, next week's live, which is our fourth one, is going to be all about these basic processes. We're going to dive deep into the specifics of the money in. So we're going to talk about invoicing and credit cards and PayPal and accepting what that looks like and talking about what those processes can be, what your sales funnels and your sales processes can be, onboarding, all of those. We're going to talk in depth about step number 4, because that is so important. And it is the missing link and the missing piece for so many businesses, so many startups. That's where you go wrong. And you don't take the time to map this out. You get it registered and you just start selling. And then you can't figure out why you can't keep the money in, why nobody ever comes back to you. And it's also from the customer side, why we have such horrible customer service experiences sometimes. You know what I'm talking about, y'all. We have horrible customer service experiences, and you know what I'm talking about. When you walk away from a situation and you're like, I'm never giving them any money again, because your experience was horrible. 9 times out of 10, all their processes were disgusting and messed up and all fouled up. And it's because they didn't take the time to figure them out before they asked you to come buy something from them. So it's more than just the product. It's more than just the service. It's also how they figured out the delivery piece of that. That's what next week is all about. All right. That's what next week is all about. So that's step number 4. And then step number 5 is marketing. Marketing like a boss. Marketing like a boss. It is time to market. And that is all about content. That is all about social media. And I got several questions on that. And I know I'm taking up too much of your time, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on there. I want to leave it for you guys to ask any questions that you have about startup, because it sounds to me, and I want to hear what you are saying, but it sounds to me, because I've got so many marketing questions. And you guys tell me if you've got lots of marketing questions, that it might require another live just on marketing. What do you think? You tell me, because I wasn't going to do one, but step number 5, which is kind of like that last step right before launching. And I've got, step number 6 is launching and then preparing to scale. But step number 5 is marketing. And I've got like a whole page of nothing but marketing questions that I don't even think I'm gonna be able to get to today, or we'll be here for 3 hours. So you guys tell me if you want me to do and schedule an entire live, an entire hour dedicated to marketing. If so, next week we're gonna do all processes. And if so, then the 5th, on July 5th, yes, that's the following Tuesday, we will do an entire hour dedicated to marketing. Yes? Kendra says yes. Kendra says yes. Desiree says yes. Any other yeses? I'm opening it up to the floor. Well, I've got like 7 people that sent me questions on marketing specifically, social media, other ways, networking, video, funnels, email marketing, content marketing, creating video, TikTok, YouTube. I've got so many questions on marketing. So many questions on marketing. Yes, please do another live. Tiffany. Yes, okay. All right, we'll do a whole coaching session on marketing, guys. We will. So those are the steps. And hopefully you guys this one, I knew it was going to be trying to squeeze all these steps and it was going to be long. It is 7:15. I have taken up so much of your time. Let me make sure, let me go through the questions, and I haven't really scrolled up. Let me make sure I haven't missed any, at least of the ones that we really got a chance to get into today. Lissa. Oh, no worries, honey. No worries. If you want to send me a direct message and let me know, if you need some help directly asking how to fix it, if you need to fix it, you may not even need to fix it. So let me know what you needed what question you have specifically about what you think you might need to fix. It may not need to be fixed. Simon, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Simon, absolutely. If you've got questions about Startup Academy, in the description, there's a link. You can also go to CherylCPerez.com/Startup Academy. I believe it is /Startup Academy. Yes, Lissa, just want to confirm, I should contact the state to change my physical home address to a virtual before requesting my EIN. Well, I would just say, okay, so Lissa, get your virtual office address, right? Then use that when you get your EIN. It's okay. You can always go back and change it with the state. So the EIN is only going to ask for that number. You want to go back and make sure that they're the same eventually, but you can get your EIN once you get that virtual office. You can always go back and change it with the state. That's okay. So you can get the virtual office, get your EIN, and then go back and change it with the state. Either way, you're good to go. All right. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. I love you. Until next time, my loves. And by the way, again, if you want more information on the Startup Academy membership, it is priced specifically for startup entrepreneurs. All of this is in 100 different training videos, in-depth detail, all the forms that you need. I think it's $49 a month for you to access. So take a look, CherylCPerez.com/Startup Academy. You can go right into it, get all the information that you need. Hopefully you guys will check me out. We'll be here next week where we dive into step number 4, which is processes. And then as I promised, we will do another live. We will do another live on marketing on the 5th. I will see you guys then. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. Until next time, my loves. Bye-bye. Mwah! Bye.